I mean, Dink, should we make a video today? Do you love Chicago? Should we talk about how much we love Chicago? Yeah? Okay, how about I make a video and you take a nap? Oh, look who else is here. And now it's a party. Oh, yeah. This is the reality of what filming a video is like. But today, nonetheless, we are going to talk about my favorite things about Chicago. I'm Matt Thomas with Baird & Warner Real Estate in Chicago. You'll have to forgive me for the cuteness intrusion. Part of getting a puppy is they become a part of everything, whether you like it or not. So Ivy and Murphy very well may interrupt this video at some point. We shall see. But today we are talking about my favorite things about Chicago. And really, more importantly, we're going to talk about 7 reasons I think you will love living in Chicago. Before we keep going, go ahead and like this video. Please share it with somebody else if they're wanting to learn more about Chicago. It helps me. It helps this account. It ultimately will help others learn about this awesome city. So thank you. Let's go through them. Starting at the top, one of the most important things of any real estate decision is location. And one of my favorite things about Chicago is exactly that, our location. Now, you can think of location in several different ways. I like to think of it because, A, we're centrally located in the United States. So for me, having family on the East Coast, having family on the West Coast, now having a brother down in Miami, I kind of cover the gambit when I need to get in an airplane, and having access to major airports like Midway and O'Hare with so many different flight options is huge for me. Not only that, but we're an international hub, so I can take flights from O'Hare direct to many countries around the world. I don't have to worry about connecting. So if you're looking to travel, Chicago is one of the locations that just is favorable for somebody who's actually looking to jet set a little bit. But take that out of the equation. Let's say that you just want to focus on Chicago and the surrounding areas. The first and most obvious thing is our location next to Lake Michigan, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but it has some huge advantages. Just being able to be close to the water, to get out on the lakefront, it keeps things a little bit cooler here at times. Being next to the lake and so much fresh water is a huge advantage for the city of Chicago, both in terms of our longevity as a city and for your enjoyment of that city. We are also so close to so many great Midwest cities that many people sleep on. Milwaukee, Indianapolis, you can get out of Chicago, and within a couple-hour drive, you can find some exciting things to do in Wisconsin, in Indiana, in Michigan. All of it is easily accessible from Chicago. My second favorite thing about Chicago, and maybe I should have said this first because it's probably my top, is the food. You could go out to eat for every meal, every day in this city, and you would still have options forever. I'm convinced. It's every time I turn back, there's a new restaurant that's opening with delicious food and a wait list that's month-long to get in. Chicago has become a restaurant scene. Many of the world's top chefs are choosing to call Chicago home, and they're opening experimental restaurants here, the next evolution of restaurants here. Some are just their first restaurant here. But regardless of how you look at it, Chicago has become a culinary hub in the United States. It's not just access to that homegrown steak and potatoes that you think of when you think of the Midwest, although you can certainly get a very good steak in Chicago, but we have access to food from all over the world. Honestly, I don't know how people stay on top of the restaurant scene. I usually try to find out about things through friends, family, people who have gone and actually tried things first, but it feels like there are so many new names and new faces, new scenes to go check out. It's impossible. It's impossible to keep up with everything. But what I will say is most of it is delicious. You can eat your way through this city. Thankfully, we're an active city, and you have plenty of opportunities to get outside, get some walking, get on a bike, because we eat a lot of calories, and rightfully so. It's freaking delicious living here. That is one thing that I will never let go of the city, is how amazing the food is. I think Chicago has pretty incredible value compared to what you get in the city. I'm not saying that it's cheap to live here. It's not. But you are going to pay infinitely less to be in a massive city in the United States than you would if you were in New York or than if you were in San Francisco. Chicago has somehow maintained some level of affordability while still offering this incredible access. You get access to the food scene we've already talked about. You can live on or near the lake. The public transit system here is, relatively speaking, incredible. I know people have complaints. I know it's not perfect, but compared to many other locations in the country, it's like top tier. I would even put it in top 5 public transit systems in the United States, might even be top 1. The point of it is you can probably dump a car and still live in the city, which adds to the affordability. Yes, we have some higher property taxes if you're going to consider making a purchase or owning property here, but the cost of buying a condo or a single family home in Chicago relative to what you get and relative to other major cities is extremely affordable. In fact, Chicago is consistently measured as one of the undervalued cities in the United States. Even after the explosion of value in COVID, we are still undervalued on the other side of things. So there's great opportunities here that are, relatively speaking, affordable for investors or homeowners coming to the city. For me, that's important. I'm not looking to live in a city where most people are priced out of having access to that city. Diversity is important to me. Inclusion is important to me. Those are things that come up in my business every single day. And the idea of watching things become too expensive for anybody to have access to it or to be a part of it is sad. I don't want to see that happen. So my hope is that Chicago continues to be an affordable big city, and then we continue to find ways to make affordable housing in particular accessible to more people. It's hard to imagine people sleep on the fact that Chicago has a lake, particularly when you think about the fact Lake Michigan is as big as it is. But for whatever reason, you talk to some Chicagoans, you talk to people who have been to Chicago, the lake isn't the first thing they go see or do or often top of mind. And it's sad because truly it's one of the most incredible parts of the city. We have 24 miles of lakefront. We have an 18-mile lakefront trail where you can run and walk and go to the beach and just have a great time. It's a unique Chicago experience to be walking south on Lakeshore, looking at the skyline, Lincoln Park on your right, the water on your left. It's an incredible feeling. It's truly something out of a movie almost. And actually, literally, it's been in many movies, that Lakeshore Drive view of the lake and of downtown. I love having access to the lake. I think it's one of the cooler things of living in this city. No, it's not a beach, but it has waves because it's equally as big. So we have our beach shores. You can go, you can lay out, you can go swim in the lake if you want to. Even better, if you manage to know somebody or have a boat, you can get out on the boat, go do a day in the playpen, go up and down or in the Chicago River. It's an amazing experience. Not only that, but the lake encourages so much community in this city. We have beachfront volleyball leagues that play for a charitable cause. We have sailing races that happen, and you can see them out on the shoreline. We do an air and water show every year that's one of the largest draws in the city, over the lake, on the lakeshore. I mean, it draws people from all over, from several states away. The lake is something that we respect. It's something that we enjoy. It's certainly our largest geographic asset. It adds an entire element to Chicago that many other cities don't have. If you're a sports fan, moving to Chicago is an incredible experience. I've lived all across the country. I've seen many different markets. I've seen what it's like to be an Eagles fan. I went to the first ever Diamondbacks game in Arizona, so I saw a franchise get started. Nothing really compares to the Chicago sports experience. The fandom here, the feeling of the city, the way that they embrace, particularly the north or the south side, if we're talking the Cubs or the White Sox, or the way the entire city defends the Bears, it's a unique and incredibly powerful thing to be a part of. Plus, everything here is just steeped in history. To go see the Bulls play and to just think about how many championships have been won there, or the fact that Michael Jordan was there for so long, and to see the banners and the rafters, to go to a Blackhawks game where they cheered through the national anthem, an experience that honestly sends chills down my spine every single time I do it. It's an incredible experience. There's no other way to describe it. It's something that I think every sports fan should make the trek to see. And when you live here, it's something you just have access to go do. I can't tell you how many days when you just find yourself with nothing to do in the afternoon, you go pick up tickets, take an in-game at Wrigley, one of the oldest, most historic, most beautiful baseball fields that exists. And you can just do it on a whim and enjoy all the fun that's happening out on Clark Street or near Addison. Chicago is a city that embraces our teams. We prefer when they're winning, but no matter what, there is a strong sense of fandom and loyalty. Every Bears game, you see the fans out there. Doesn't matter what the record is, doesn't matter what the weather is, they are there to support their team. It's a miserable, fantastic, unique experience, and you only get it here as a Chicago sports fan. There's an expression you may have heard before, summertime shy, and that's what we all live for. I can't overstate that. We actually all live for it as residents. There's a very short window where the weather is perfect. The beach looks incredible. Everything is green and blooming. Every weekend, there's a new festival around the city. We have Lollapalooza, where some of the biggest artists in the world come through. This year, we've got a NASCAR race happening. Summertime Chi is something out of a movie scene. This city will shut down entire blocks, several blocks of the city, in the heart of the city, on a whim for something like a music festival or a NASCAR race, or you name it. There's a visible shift to this city once the summer happens. Everything gets a little bit busier, but we're all fine with it because everybody's in a great mood. It's not quite like coming out of hibernation, but also at the same time, it's exactly like coming out of hibernation. We're all cranky. We've been sitting inside. We're through our Netflix series that we can't watch anymore. The sun is finally out. We remember there's a beach. We remember that there's happy hours. We remember that there's a lot of outdoor seating and dog-friendly patios in Chicago. And it's on, baby. Not only that, but every single weekend in the summer, from Memorial Day to Labor Day, there is something happening in the city. Everything happens in such like a refined couple-month period. It's just like go, 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 go. And Chicagoans have learned to really get ready for this. We embrace and love summer. And it's an awesome time to be here. Whether you're visiting or if you're moving to the city, summer is a time you're going to start to look forward to. And it's a time you're going to embrace experiencing the best Chicago has. You're going to see our roof decks. You're going to go see the outdoor spaces. You're going to go to the beach. It's just a good time to be here. It's the best time to be here. Finally, something that's a little bit hard to put a metric on, the people. The people of Chicago are fantastic. I don't know if it's a Midwest thing. I don't know if it's a hardworking thing. I don't know what it is. But the people here in Chicago are incredible. I've lived all around the country. In some places, I thought it was too slow, or people were a little too nice. They wanted to talk too long and you couldn't even get on with your day. In other places, they're way too short. Go to the Northeast. Nobody has time for you. They'll answer your questions. They'll tell you how to get somewhere if you ask for directions, but they don't have time for you. They don't want to talk to you. There's this incredible balance that exists in Chicago where, yes, people will make time, and yes, they will have a conversation, but we are all hardworking. We have things to do, so you don't find yourself wasting that time. I don't know. It's an approachable city. It's a city where people seem to be modest, hardworking. They approach you in earnest, and it's welcoming. When I moved here in 2015, I felt welcomed by the community of Chicago. I was fortunate to have people that I knew in that community, but they felt welcomed here too. This is a place where transplants are welcome. You can always find your community, your people, and I think it has a really unique city feel. It's a diverse city, 77 neighborhoods. They're all very different, and you're going to find pockets of conflict. That happens in any city. But I think the boiling pot that is Chicago is one of the more unique things that I've ever seen. And when I compare that to other cities that I've been in, New York, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Chicago's just a nicer, more accepting, generally happier place. And maybe that's because of some of the things we already talked about. So I'm sure I missed things in this video. These are just some of the things that I love about this city. And then I think you'll love too if you're planning to come here. What do you think I didn't talk about? Leave it in the comments. If there's something you love about Chicago that you want to share with somebody else, this is a great place to do that. And if you think somebody would gain value from this video, send it to them. Sharing helps me, it helps this channel, and hopefully it'll help somebody to learn more about this awesome city. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching this long, and I'll see you next time.